Death was sad, yes, but life quickly moved on outside those two self-centered epicenters, and talk turned to the weather. 2 days ago, as the flowers were piling up in Ottawa, it was 36.8 degrees here in Winnipeg, a record. That's what they were talking about here. That and the Winnipeg Jets, plus the Hamilton Tiger Cats coming here tomorrow night to get their asses whooped by the Bombers. But not Jack Layton. If it weren't for wire-to-wire coverage of his funeral by the state broadcaster and the over-the-top coverage of the left-wing media, the majority of Canadians wouldn't even know that Jack Layton's funeral is Saturday. And so no teddy bears or fresh-cut flowers were wasted on makeshift memorials here just so they could be hauled away as more garbage for the landfill site. Jack Layton was a politician, not a saint. Yes, it is tough to die too young at the age of 61, and tougher to die at the top of your game. But life is tough too. Die when you are old, or die when your party has tossed you aside, and the pages of adulation suddenly become 2 paragraphs somewhere deep in the news hole. Jack Layton went out as close to the top as he would ever get, and so close to his unprecedented, unexpected showing for the NDP that he was given more adulation than his accomplishment deserved, like a state funeral, for example, and now talk of him being posthumously bestowed with the title of the Right Honorable Jack Layton. Please, enough is enough. Let's stop diluting the gene pool. If the CN Tower wants to light itself up overnight as an orange popsicle, and Niagara Falls wants to make itself look like an ad for Orange Crush, then they need to have their heads given a shake. They are not privately owned. The tower is owned by the Federal Crown Agency, and the falls is run by an agency of the province of Ontario. They are owned, therefore, by the taxpayers, not the NDP. Now, here is a sidebar observation. It was reported today that former Toronto Blue Jay pitcher Mike Flanagan was found dead outside his home yesterday. He was only 59, and he had helped lead the Baltimore Orioles to his World Series victory in 1983. In 1979, in fact, Flanagan was handed the Cy Young Award as the best pitcher in the American League. Not because he was a nice guy or because it was a nice thing to do, but because he had won 23 games that season. In other words, no precedent was broken. Mike Flanagan had earned his Cy Young Award, and the fact that he died of apparent suicide yesterday is just as sad as someone who almost as young who died of cancer. Jack Layton, no matter what anyone says, did not earn the right to a state funeral, and nor did he earn the right to be called the Right Honorable Jack Layton. Such honors should not be going to MPs sitting in the opposition benches, whether they are leaders of the opposition party or sitting so far in the back in the cheap seats that they're in a different time zone. So let's rein in this overwrougtness. Let's restore some Canadian common sense. At the Toronto Sun, which is my home base, pal and columnist Mike Strobel wrote about the canonization of St. Jack and got crucified by left-wing trolls. For this is what he wrote. Perhaps we Canadians are just suckers for a limp, he said, commenting on the front page of Sun media newspapers across this country, which showed Jack Layton walking off into the sunset, his image backlit, a cane in his hand. Is he wrong, or is he just stating the obvious? My friend Christy Blash of the National Post said a similarly toned column by her resulted in the most hate mail she has ever received during her 30 years in the game. Barbara Kay at the Post wrote about Layton in a similar vein and got tarred and feathered by the left. No doubt with fake feathers and biodegradable tar, but tarred and feathered nonetheless. Hey, but don't think the honchos at the NDP are playing us for suckers too, because they are. This leaves them morally bankrupt in my mind. Instead of asking for the usual in lieu of flowers to have donations made to the Canadian Cancer Society, which would be reasonable considering it was cancer that took Jack Layton out in his prime, it wanted its donations to be made out to the Ed Broadbent Institute, its lefty think tank. This, to me, is unconscionable, and every Canadian battling cancer today should think the same. Some time ago, Mike Strobel exposed the panhandling calm of an elderly woman in Toronto he nicknamed the Shaky Lady. She would occupy a busy quarter in Toronto's banking district, sit on the pavement, mumble like a nutter, and shake her entire body like she had advanced Parkinson's. And she had this cardboard sign around her neck that read, "Please help me. I'm sick and poor. I will pray for you." Well, at the end of the day, with upwards of $500 in her kick, she'd hop up, jump in her new model car, and drive home to a place with leather furniture and a big screen TV. It was all a scam. The NDP is no better. They are using Jack Layton's death and exploiting it, really, to scam money for their own cause. They are their own shaky lady. No question about it.